Hi, my name is Yujin Kang, and today I'm gonna talk about is modern architecture sustainable? A modernist architect overall states that modern architecture does not mean the use of immature new materials. The main thing is to refine materials in a more human directions. Buildings are everywhere. When you walk, when you drive, or even when you're on a plane, you will see different kinds of buildings, and we are living in our life. We are living our life in the building jungle, which is concrete jungle. Here's a question. When you see any kind of buildings, do you think a building that you see looks sustainable? Or do you think a building that you see looks to be killing the planet where we live? I support the formal, which building looks sustainable. The term modern architecture describes that architecture designed within the cultural, artistic, and social, as well as it is primarily concerned with functional and technical considerations. I have heard many people said modern architecture is not sustainable. The reason why there was a huge change in terms of materials of architecture in that era when the movement of architecture was about to change it to modern architecture. The materials most likely has used wood, bricks, and stone before the modern architecture, but it has changed to concrete, glass, steel, and cast iron. At the beginning of modern architecture era, when concrete has used, there was a still lack of engineer skill of how to use concrete properly. Therefore, certain buildings which is structured by concrete has started having issues that was over time under the cyclical duress of sagging, cracking, and weathering. However, nowadays the structural properties of concrete have gotten much better understood than in 20th century. The fact that modern architecture has been achieving its goal successfully, which is creating buildings sustainably with the methods that provides better insulation, and from that it was able to reduce energy needs. Even though the structural skill of certain materials have gotten better, there are still movements of trying to demolish and try not to protect the building that has been constructed in 20th century with modern architecture method. Today, I would like to encourage you to support and consider that the modern architecture is sustainable and a society should keep the modern architecture. I will first explain the problems of modern architecture. Second, I will explain why modern architecture is sustainable. I will finally explain how modern architecture could contribute to the environment. Um, that is true that modernist buildings are not easy to maintain and repair, according to Andrew Hunt, who is author of Better Value Investing. A big part of the problem is modern construction materials. Producing concrete and steel are two of the most ambiguous and environmentally destructive industries on the planet. The old materials such as stone, wood, and brick can last almost as long. For example, Rome's Pantheon is 1900 years old, and it built from stone. The Faroe Island is 900 years old, and it built from wood. Compared to these materials, the materials that have been used during the movement of modernism or mainly concrete, and the concrete can last from 50 to 100 years. However, the materials of modern architecture is not everything. What's important is that we must put efforts to preserve modern architectures to last, and we also must love them. Nikolai Bo Anderson, Associate Professor at the Institute for Architecture and Culture at the Royal Danish Academy for Fine Arts School of Architecture, states that a sustainable house is one that is built from good materials and is both functional and beautiful. When modern architecture comes to the topic of sustainable, we can think of if it is functional, beautiful, and environmentally friendly. According to the Division Das from Parisian, which is a professional company of interior and exterior, states that modern architecture is sustainable because it uses less energy, provide healthier environments, make better use of space. It is creative and cheaper to maintain the buildings. Design process of a building has changed over time, and it has been becoming more sustainable. Demands from society and government regulations of a building has been changing to the way that makes building more environmentally friendly. According to Division Desk from the Professional Company of Interior and Exterior, says there are many different ways in which modern architecture can make this move, from using materials such as recycled steel and solar panels to the use of green roofs, which help reduce heat absorption and reduce stormwater runoff, making it much easier for plants to grow on them. Modern architecture has become more sustainable because we can save money on energy consumption, make people's life to have more quality and accessibility by providing more space and reduce environmental pollution. Beyond this, there has been a lot of efforts from architects that they use new materials and try to advance building techniques to improve sustainable design skill. From their efforts to develop sustainable design of a building, modern architecture now provides a better quality of life for people. This is my outline, which has introduction, body, conclusion. It's my plan for speech, and this is bibliography. Thank you.